Hi there, Desi here. I'm going to show you how to work in the round with Celtic Knotwork. You're going to notice that I do have this on graph paper. I do not have it on graph paper because I use the graph paper for any other reason but establishing distance instead of measuring it out. If you're going to work in the round, you're going to want to remember that you need to have something circular because you're going to really want to make sure that you do have a circle on your paper or on your skin. So circle makers are a blessing here because they give you the opportunity to map out where you're going to be going and what you're going to be working inside. This is the particular knot that we're going to be working on today. I have it here. I've darkened up the inside so that you can see what we're working with and what we're not. It's really easy to do. It looks really complicated, but it's really easy. I'm going to shift the paper this way so that you can continue to see the knot while I work. This puts me working upside down. When you're working on skin, you're going to have to be able to do it in all different directions, upside down, right side up, sideways. So it's a good thing to practice this, not this particular woven piece, in all sorts of directions before you just sit down and try to do it on skin. If you notice, we've got a curved bottom piece here in the triangle. So that's where we're going to start. You've already got that laid down, so instead of running over it, you're just going to bring up. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing here. And you're going to give it a turn right there. And this is going to move up. From there, we're going to remember that this has two sides to it. So we've got that bottom opening started. From there, we're going to continue with this bottom piece because this one actually extends all the way up. Okay, and remember to concentrate on your line thickness because that really does tie things together. One really good thing about using graph paper when starting this is you can use the graph paper to map out the center part of it. If you're going to be using skin, after you put your circle, make sure you put tick marks on it so that you know where the centers are. Even if you just use a watercolor pencil to do that, that way you can see where you're going and where you need to be and you don't have to worry about that. So we've got the one arm and branching off. Since it does cut that piece off, we're going to add this piece in. Come up and bring it down. And then this cuts this piece off. And you can always make those fine little adjustments while you're learning how to do it in pencil, even with paste if you're quick enough. So we've got that. I'll color it in so you can see. And when I do this in henna, I usually do the black negative space so that it does pop a little bit more. You could, if you do it large enough, do a fill inside of it so that it's fancier. And you can split your circle up just about any way you want, but remember, whatever you do, you really, really want for the pieces to be equal size. So you don't want to have one piece that's, this wide where another one's this wide. That'll make it uneven and it'll look sloppy. Okay, moving to our circle. All right, pick a center piece to start with, any direction that you feel comfortable working in. And remember, do your lines very light because you do have that center piece right there that you are working on. You do have to remember that even though you've got the lines dividing your circle up, you're going to have to cross over them at some point to unite the pieces of the puzzle together. So once you get the basis laid out, you just keep on going with the knot as planned. Some places are more able to be dark, because you know this isn't going to change and this isn't really going to change. So you can darken these areas up so that you can see them better, see where they are, where they're going, where they're coming from. And then you got to remember that this is the other side of that. And try and line up your center line when you're looking at it. That way you're not going to run into the arms up at the top here being strange and lopsided. And this is going to come over. Remember, if you err, try to err to the larger, because you can always narrow the line out by doing more fill. It's harder to widen the line after you've laid a line down. Okay, we've got our first section done. Double check, make sure you've got everything right. And you move on to the next piece of the pie. It starts out exactly the same. As you move through it, it becomes a little bit easier. The one big problem with using the graph paper at this point is that it becomes confusing with all the different lines. And then this piece is going to come down. And see how they connect here? Just connect the two pieces together. And remember that Celtic knotwork in general, has a very over-under quality to it. Pieces go over, pieces go under, and it alternates, so it's even. And sometimes you're going to have to double check and put a thin line that you can then erase, just to make sure that your pieces are lining up. Okay, and then just move on to the next piece, the next sliver. You can, if you're working on paper, you can always rotate the paper so that you're working in a comfortable position, so that you don't ever have to worry about not having it right. When you're working on skin, you can't do that, so that's, like I said, it's very important to remember to practice drawing this in all manners of order. That way, when you do end up working on skin, you're able to draw it from every direction and not just one. Now these can be spruced up pretty easily. You can add an extra loop at the bottom if you want to make it longer. You can open things up. I can show another knot in a different video. But as you draw, they do get a little bit easier. Remember, mistakes are easily fixed. I'm trying to rotate the paper so that you can continue seeing me work. As you get through with it, and you have all the pieces where you want them, you can just fill in the dark spots. That one comes down a little farther, so I can always just adjust this one and this one so that they're more even. Eventually you'll get your entire circle done. You can add embellishments to the outside of your circle. You can do lots of other interesting things, add a woven piece around the outside, whatever you think is pretty. But that's the basics on how to do a circular knot. And there you go.